Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to talk about Ubisoft's current situation because things aren't looking so great for this company. So over the course of the past few weeks, Ubisoft stock has been plummeting down massively. A few days ago, it was around 8 euros, and as of right now, it climbed up back to around 10 to 11 euros, which is really bad. In contrast to this, at the end of August 2024, its stock price was around 17 euros, which was already bad. The company has lost around 50% of its valuation since July 2024, which is really bad. The main culprits behind this is Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows. Star Wars Outlaws mainly. Keep in mind that this game had one of the biggest Ubisoft marketing campaigns and one of the highest budgets of a Ubisoft game, I believe. And with all of this, Ubisoft recently held an emergency shareholders meeting in which they confessed that Star Wars Outlaws has majorly underperformed way below their expectations and has been a massive failure. Mostly due to its lack of polish, but there's more than that. Even if they fix the game at its core is just really bad. The game is called Star Wars Outlaws, and you cannot do anything an outlaw is supposed to or can do in this game. Keep in mind that this game was supposed to be the next Red Dead Redemption 2, said by certain reviewers, which may or may not have been paid by Ubisoft itself. Along with this, they pulled out Assassin's Creed Shadows from Tokyo Game Showcase from Thursday, and they also announced that they'll be delaying Assassin's Creed Shadows to 2025 February because of Ghost of Yotei. And keep in mind that these two games are not the only reasons why Ubisoft stock has been dropping so massively. There's so many other failures and L's Ubisoft has taken in the past few months and years. To name a few, Skull and Bones. It has been in development since Assassin's Creed 4, I believe, and it dropped recently, and it had been a massive failure. Keep in mind that this game was also the quadruple A game set by Ubisoft itself. There's also X-Defiant, which initially launched as a massive success in terms of player numbers, is now on the verge of being shut down because Ubisoft has said that if the player base cannot be recouped till Season 3, they will drop support for X-Defiant. Keep in mind that the game is currently at its Season 2, so it only has a few months to recoup its player base. Otherwise, Ubisoft drops support for X-Defiant. And this was also the Call of Duty Unaliver set by most people, and it's now on the verge of being shut down. Keep in mind that this was also reported by Insider Gaming. There's also the Crew 1 situation in which they restricted access from the game and basically shut down all servers because the game was online only. So if you actually own the game, you can never play it again unless you do some workarounds. But they actually took notice and added a offline mode for Crew 2 and Crew Motorfest, which is actually a W, so gotta give credit where it's due. Most likely it's just that they thought they were going bankrupt, so they decided to give these games an offline mode, so if the company does shut down, these games can at least be playable. There's other games like Division Heartland, which got cancelled. There's Rainbow Six Extraction. There's Assassin's Creed Mirage. There's also Prince of Persia Lost Crown, which has done decent, I believe. And then there's the new remake for Prince of Persia Sands of Time, which might be in a bad state because they had to switch up studios because the first studio wasn't competent enough to handle this sort of project. So this project has been in development for a very long time and was supposed to come out a very long ago, but it's scheduled for 2026. So with all of this, this project has been costly for Ubisoft. There's also Watch Dogs Legion, which basically was the final nail in the coffin for this franchise. Now, with all of the massive failures, we have to remember that Ubisoft is the same company that during the 7th generation of consoles, they dropped out Far Cry 3, Assassin's Creed 2, Splinter Cell Blacklist, Ghost Recon Future Soldier, and so many more. And during the 8th generation, they got a bit out of hand, but they still delivered amazing games like Watch Dogs 1, Watch Dogs 2, Far Cry 4, Far Cry 5, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and Unity to some extent, Assassin's Creed Origins, The Division 1, Division 2, Crew 2, so many amazing successes for this company. These games did have their problems, but generally, games from the 7th generation and 8th generation at its core were really great. And looking at the 9th generation, the games are unpolished and at its core just woke propaganda machines. Far Cry 6 to some extent, Watch Dogs Legion, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Star Wars Outlaws, and Rainbow Six Siege at its current state has now become a DAI fanfest, of course. And to top it all off, during the shareholder meeting, the CEO of Ubisoft had the audacity to say that they are an entertainment company first and not a agenda-pushing company, which is a blatant lie. They are the same company that put hip-hop music over a black samurai character to make it more inclusive, but in reality, they just made it more racist. They made the protagonist of Star Wars Outlaws ugly on purpose so that they could sell more copies to a certain community, but that didn't work out, did it? Rainbow Six Siege, which initially launched as a realistic Special Forces military shooter, has now added with its new update a disabled operator who controls robots. Robots in Rainbow Six Siege. And with all of this, the future for upcoming Ubisoft games doesn't look that interesting either. To name 2 games, there's Assassin's Creed Hexe, which sounds boring and uninteresting. In this game, you'll play as a female protagonist who will use her cat and magical powers to take out enemies. Boring. And the next Ghost Recon game is going to be a first-person shooter again. So with all of the major L's that Ubisoft has been taking, they have been screwing up their fanbase, and now the fanbase is screwing them up. They reap what they sow. So Ubisoft does have the potential to go bankrupt, and with all of this, they deserve it. And funnily enough, after the lackluster sales of their recent titles, Ubisoft has came back crawling, back to Gavin. So on November 21st, Star Wars Outlaws will be released on Steam, along with Assassin's Creed Shadows launching day 1 on Steam. These games were previously meant only for Ubisoft Connect, but the reason why they're coming to Steam now is because there's a large number of people that actually buy games on Ubisoft Connect and are holding back. So, since Ubisoft isn't making any money, they have to go back to Steam. And the reason why Ubisoft made their games Ubisoft Connect exclusives is because Steam actually takes a 30% cut from the revenue generated from the game. So, in order to not let Steam take 30%, a lot of companies, including Ubisoft, made their own launcher where they release their exclusive games. A few examples of this can be Battle.net for Activision and Blizzard games, the Rockstar Games launcher. Well, that's it for today, guys. Hope you guys found this video interesting. If you did, consider subscribing. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.